Reading the game is an important coaching skill. It allows you to eliminate problems and get to the ones that really matter. Now, in our example that we're going to use here is 4 versus 4 in the basic game, and all 8 kids are on the same team. So it's at a practice, and what we want to do is we want to help the kids get to the biggest problem that they have out on the field. So the first thing you need to do is to let them play. The kids are going to have to play for 5, maybe even 10 minutes before you start any type of analysis. They need to warm up, they need to get to understand each other, how they're playing, and they need to understand how the ball is going to roll on the field, all of those factors. So don't jump in with these questions too early. After they have gone through this orientation period where they're warmed up and they're playing, ask yourself this question: which team is having the biggest problem? Focus on that team, and what happens, that eliminates half of your problems right there. So we're going to look at the blue team, and by doing that, anything that goes wrong with the Reds, we ignore it. We'll save it for later. It becomes an issue for a later date. Now, once you focus on the blue, the next thing you want to do is look at which main moment that the blue team's having their problem in. So is it when they have the ball? When red has the ball? When there's a transition between the two? Focus on that main moment. Once again, when you focus on that main moment, you eliminate problems. So for our example, the main moment we have in question is when blue has possession of the ball. Now, where does the problem happen? The problem seems to keep cropping up in this example over on this area of the field, on their right hand side and towards the back. And the next thing you want to do is you want to look for a specific event. When does the problem happen? Let's call it a mini moment. And the specific event in question for this example will be when the sweeper has the ball. The blue team's not able to build up effectively on that side of the field. So what happens now? We eliminate 2 of the blue players. Any of these problems that our left midfielder or the striker have, we're going to ignore them for now. Set them aside. We need to focus on the players who are responsible for that area. Now you need to then really refine it and ask yourself this: who owns the problem? And it's important that you name names. As far as I know, there aren't too many teams that have anyone by the name of someone, anyone, anybody, nobody, or somebody playing for them. You need to name names and be very specific as to who has the problem. It may be an individual or it may be a small group, but you need to name names. And in this situation, for our example, we're going to say that the problem is isolated with our right midfielder. So the sweeper is not even a problem. Now we're just going to watch the midfielder, and you analyze, well, what's going wrong? And in this particular situation, what's the midfielder's basic task? To connect between the top player and the sweeper and provide support to aid in the build-up. And the problem is that on this side of the field, our right midfielder has not been providing effective support for the sweeper. That solves the problem. Okay, it's a lot easier here than it is out on the field. But that's what you do. You go through these steps and you follow them in just a sequential manner. Pretty soon you get everything down to a manageable size. Now it's a lot more complicated in 7 versus 7, 8 versus 8, 11 versus 11. But this process can hold true. Now we're going to look at something that gives you a real big headache. The problem gets to be this. If you remember back to the video, or look back to the video on the principles of play for the team in possession, the attacking principles, there was that one called improvisation, winging it, doing what feels good, being creative, being explosive, doing the unexpected. Well, the problem is if all 4 players are going to be improvising, well then they can do something like this. And it's okay. They can do something like this. And it's all right. That's okay. As a matter of fact, they can put all of those together because they're improvising. Man, I'm doing my own thing. Leave me alone. The idea, the myth that there's some form of positionless soccer is just that. It's a myth. Teams need a structure. Now, how they get it, what they do, well, that's open to other interpretations, and we'll touch on some of those ideas in later videos. But the point is, there has to be some structure. Whether it's a diamond, a 2-1-1, even a box. The players need to have an agreement on the field. If they don't, you can't read anything because it's pure and simple chaos.